just had an accident. If you're watching, live accident. I just spilled water everywhere. Putting on some books. Almost on my computer. This is part of the live show. Ooh. I'm not real sure how I did that, but I knew that if I had water on my desk, it was inevitable. All right. It's also all over the floor. That was awesome. My floor needed mopping anyway. Yep. Spilled water everywhere, including on my chair and the piece of paper I was just about to draw on. My pants are wet. Ooh, and it's cold. Sorry, y'all. All right. Let me try that again. New piece of paper. Make sure this is dry. What is that doing? Well, I don't guess I'll drink any water while I work. Now, what I was actually going to do was draw on a piece of paper that will eventually fit right here. So I'm going to put this here and here, mark it, and mark it. It's going to be a lot smaller than this, but that just shows me what I have to work with. Which is about 19 centimeters, and about 19 centimeters. So what I have in mind for this particular drawing, this is going to be a raven to go in my book of Corvidae, but I'm going to do it on a separate sheet of paper and glue it in. That way I can make sure I get it right. We're going to go with 27.5 here, centimeters, and 27.5 centimeters. So my drawing has to be smaller than this, which is fine. So my camera is attached to my laptop by the shortest possible cord. Try and pull up my reference photo. All right. So, sorry for the slow start. I just spilled water all over everything. I was all set to go, and then I just spilled water everywhere. All right, here we go. All right. I'm not going to do it as big as the book or the page, but I want to go to maybe about right there. All right. His head is just like really huge. And his beak, let's move that head over and smaller. His beak goes to almost the middle of that circle, like about right there. And it comes down. One of the most fascinating things about birds, particularly corvidae, is those beaks. Massive and just almost out of proportion to their heads, you know what I mean? But perfect. One of the things that I'm also trying to do here is not draw that corvidae, that raven, exactly. I'm not making this corvidae that's in front of me, but I'm just making what do you call it? A bird with that same characteristic, those same characteristics, those same that same personality. That's what I want. I'm also going to do this one a little bit more stylized than I usually do. I also love how, I don't know, are these considered feathers on the beak? I mean, they really look more like fur. If you have any idea, let me know. I haven't delved into the information of corvidae like I should. And those eyes are big and beautiful. This is sort of more like a collar. Around his neck. This is it's not quite that pronounced right there. This Look at the shoulder of the bird right there. I'm just going to kind of jump around. I want this to be kind of sporadic, not sporadic, spontaneous as much as possible. All right, so as you watch this video, if you would be so kind as to leave a comment so that I know you were here later on. I don't have any way of seeing who's on right now because I'm looking at the reference photo. Ever so subtly see the other side of that beak. I'd love to get some comments, good, bad, or otherwise, doesn't matter. Tell me what you think. One of the great things also is the detail in these eyes. I wished I could capture all the detail. Um, excuse me. I'm trying so hard to make them like completely round, but they are really not like completely round. They're just subtly not round, like kind of like that. And then maybe even longer over here. Let me get my little detail eraser out here. I love this little thing. You get right where you want it to, right where you want it to be. However, that's too much. Again, it's just like so subtle, so subtly not round. I'm really just sort of talking to myself and talking about what I'm doing, even though nobody's watching. I don't know, maybe somebody's watching. Nobody has to watch. Yeah, and then this comes in here like that. And almost goes around it like that. Excuse me. Can you see it well enough? Let me see if I can zoom in and it'll still look okay. Nope, didn't want to zoom. Lower it. Be careful. There we go. Let's see. You know, I almost feel like this is the one that I painted the other, or that I drew the other day. Is this the same one that I drew? No, no. So for those of y'all that haven't seen the other videos, um, I made a book called Corvidae. I made this book, like I bound it and all that kind of stuff, and I'm drawing only Corvidae in it. And the first two I actually drew directly in the book. The other day I did this sort of this background, just kind of experimenting with color and greens and values and stuff. Taped it off and all that. There is no video for that, but I'm now going to draw this, and the goal is to cut it out and put it on that page. Just kind of a different route for this particular one. And there's so much fun stuff going on inside this bird's feathers. And the problem, I don't know, I kind of feel like if they were feathers, I could draw them better, but these look more like fur. I like this thing so much that I use it for places that I really should use a regular eraser. All right, there's a little spot here. Comes off the mouth. There's a little shadow up under there. And right here it kind of goes this way and down. And then underneath the beak. And I say more stylized, but I didn't really mean it, apparently. Let me grab a pen. I don't know, this is kind of my favorite pen. And then I'm going to need some Noodler's ink, which is way back here. All right, swirl it around a little. Hopefully I don't spill it on my picture. All right. Now, this is what I'm doing, ready or not. Probably not. I'm just trying to get some of the heavy. This is how I spilled my water, being careless. Just trying to get some of the heavy pencil off of it with the eraser before I go in with some ink. I'm going to start with the darkest areas first. In some cases, you know what? I bet this is going to bleed everywhere. This paper was not made for this ink. Uh-oh. I didn't think that through. That's all right. Maybe that'll help it characteristically. Let's keep it fast. I'm tempted to start over because this ink is like really bleedy. But I'm not going to start over. The reason I'm not going to start over, a couple of reasons I'm not going to start over, is one, I wanted to keep it loose anyway. And by doing it this way, it's going to force me to go fast, probably going to force me to mess up, and it's going to keep it spontaneous. Second reason that I'm not starting over is because I've already invested a lot of time in this. And I kind of want to see what it's going to do. Anyway, if it doesn't turn out right, that's okay. We can do another one. But if it doesn't mess up, even better. This is bleeding everywhere. I don't know if you can see it, but it gets kind of blurry when you get that far up. When I get that close to them. It just had to be a blurry bird. I used to have a professor that would always give demos, and he would give these demos like totally on the fly. He didn't prepare in advance. You know, he already knew how to do this stuff really, so he didn't have to prepare a whole lot. But he always gave it without any preparation, he would say, so that we would see how not to do it. And it was effective. You know, we'd see what he was doing, we would see his mess ups, and we would kind of know, okay, I know how to do it from watching him do it, and I watched him mess up, so now I know what mistakes to avoid. So that's what I'm doing here. avoid using the wrong kind of paper. That would be my. Make sure that your paper and your ink are compatible before you embark on a journey like this. But he's a furry bird, you know. So I mean, he's fluffy, so it's not going to hurt for this to bleed a little bit. Fast and spontaneous. You see that little spill I had right there? Oh, and I'm tearing paper. Excellent. Keep it fast. I'm going to drop some ink on it right there so it'll spread. Probably get on the table underneath. Look at that. That's how you know if you're doing it right. The paint goes through the paper. Just kidding. It's kind of like that's how you know you're an artist when you get ink on you. If you don't get ink on your fingers, you're not really an artist. If you don't get paint on your clothes, you're doing something wrong. And you know, as you are working on this, something else to keep in mind is if you are not being successful, if you don't feel like your picture is successful, it might be because you're not holding your mouth just right. Kind of got to stick your lips out, or you kind of bite onto your tongue or something. That helps. This guy's got bedhead. I'm going to spill a little bit. Make that nice and dark right there. Go through the paper. Tear it up. You get a piece of paper on the end of it, it makes it like really thick. See what I'm talking about? If you don't get any ink on your fingers, you're doing something wrong. one thing I could probably do to speed this up, maybe even get better results, is ditch the pen and just use a brush, because the brush won't tear the paper. It'll apply more paint faster, more ink faster, and well, yeah, that's it. Won't tear the paper, and it'll apply more ink faster. So let's do that. Let's stitch that pen, and let's get a little brush. Is this the right brush to use? I don't know. We'll find out. All right, so the crazy thing that I'm looking at here is that some of this does in reverse of each other. Like, for example, these feathers are darker on the tips, and as they curl over the head, they become highlighted. But these over here are highlighted as they stand, and the darkness is actually the shadow underneath the feather. So it's really dark under here, and then it kind of fades into the light. And then right here, same thing. It's like darker underneath the feathers, and then over here, lighter. So you just have to watch where that light's hitting and why. Once the brush starts to run out of ink, it's kind of a good time to do some dry brushing. There's this line right here that comes up from around it and onto the head. That this is. I'll keep dry brushing. And then another weird thing is that, like, right here where it's dark, where it curls over, the next layer is dark because of shadow underneath it. So in other words, you can't shade it in the same way everywhere. These right here are shadowed underneath and almost like light gray feathers. So interesting. But then these down here are against the background, and so they appear to be darker. When they're really the same value as these up here. Do that with black ink. Also, just kind of a little philosophy that runs through my head almost every time I do this. I mean, just honest to goodness, I am not as skilled at this as a lot of people are. Right, so that's probably too much ink and it's going to bleed everywhere. It's going to bleed right out of that mouth. But anyway, so I'm not as skilled as a lot of artists are that can just, they know exactly the right order to do it in, and they've been trained to do it sort of step by step. But I do it my way. I have results. I can say that when I'm done, there is a crow here, or raven. I believe other people are going to see this raven and recognize it as a raven, and they're not going to judge me on the perfect technique. Yeah, I mean, regular people aren't. Artists will. Artists will look at it and go, you could have done it this way, and it would have been better. Maybe if I had started with brush from the very beginning. This is really just sort of therapeutic for me. I've got so much work to do, but I didn't want to give up on my Corvidae book. Wanted to get some more out there. In the book. This shoulder appears because of this line and because of this shadow. And then because of this change in its feathers. I can't talk. I'm like invoking the. I can't even say it. I am channeling William Shatner right now. That's how I talk when I do these things. When I try and talk and draw at the same time, I'm just invoking William Shatner. Invoking the spirit of William Shatner. Again, I wanted to keep it spontaneous. Although I do need him to be darker, I feel like. Like this is too bright. I mean, it's a raven, for goodness sakes. And while I know he's shiny, he's got all kinds of highlights all over him. He's not this shiny. So let's stretch this out some. It's kind of important to let the brush dry out. Yeah, as you're see, like that right there is too dark. I need to let some of this ink get off my brush before I start stretching it out, before I start spreading out the ink. Let it dry, that way it doesn't overpower. And it gives the appearance of sort of a gray right there to the eye. But pay attention to what you're doing right here. Spontaneity. Spontaneity. Dry brushing. Building it up layer by layer by layer. Is he looking at all ravenish? Not to be confused with ravenish. Ravenish. So it looks like a pine cone right here. All that area. That's kind of what it's first doing in the picture anyway. Kinda. Right. Get to the dry brushing part. One way you can get to the dry brushing part faster is to wipe it off on a paper towel or other spot of your picture where you don't need it. So I'm just kind of dry brushing this in to give it sort of a gray right there. We're going to work that all the way up to there. At some point, it just stops. It really feels like it's not doing it, but see, it is. It's putting something down right there. So it might be a slow process, but you're dry brushing that in right there. Let's dry brush a little bit in right there. Just kind of muddle it. Same thing down here. So we're gonna swipe this right here a little bit with some dark. Make that wider. A little darker down here. I like these thicker feathers. But then I'm going to make sure it's kind of clean up here before I do this right here. Just dry brush it in there. He's got a little reflected light that I don't want to mess up, but I want to show. This reflected light right here won't show unless there's some darkness around it, right? I don't have to worry too much about getting out of lines because I'm going to cut him out to glue him down. I'm kind of liking the way he's looking. Finally liking the way he's looking. These just sort of really great stark contrast in here. But at the same time, you want to push your values a little bit more. So if you can, I mean, you can get black, and we know we can get white, but this is a raven, and everything that I really see in this picture, nothing's really white except for the gleam in his eye and the background. So I'm going to continue to sort of like push this, probably until I ruin it, but without great risk, there's not great reward. See those great lines that makes? I don't know if y'all can see that. Those lines right there, just beautiful. All right, so another reason I'm doing this video is I'm trying to work out my camera problems, and just doesn't seem like I'm getting a very good picture with this camera that I'm using, which I did a review on not too long ago, and it seemed like it was doing pretty good. Maybe it'll look better once it's live. I mean, once it's recorded and uploaded, I hope. But the little picture on my screen does not look that great. Not to mention, I don't really like the way it focuses, or actually doesn't focus. It doesn't change at all when I move the picture closer or further away. So it doesn't look like there's a whole lot happening right here, probably on the screen. But I'm putting in just a little layer of gray right there, dry brush gray, kind of scrubbing it in, just making it dirty. All right, now I have no idea what color this bird's eye is. I just zoomed in on that eye and it's amazing looking, but I don't know that it's got like a color. It might be a black and white photograph, but I really just want to give this thing some color. There we go. Just give it like a little rim. All right. Oh, so that is not really enough. But I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to glue it into the book. And I can always kind of come back later on and work on it. Put a little gray right here. So really, I just kind of have a dirty brush right now. It's got residual black ink left in it because it hadn't been washed out, and I'm just dirtying up some of the paper so it gives sort of a gray, the impression of grayness. Stick it in the water. Get a pair of scissors. And this is going to be tedious right here, but I'm going to close the lid on my ink so I don't spill it. And then let's cut this out. Let's just start by cutting it out like this. Here we go. But I'm going to do it better. I don't want any jagged edges unless it's a feather. Now I'm doing my best with these scissors to just kind of stay true to the shape of the feathers, but they are not perfect. And a lot of this feather detail is probably going to be lost in my background that was green and grassy looking. Once I get past these feathers right here, This chin fur. Is this a goatee for a raven? Is that what this is? Like, this is the raven goatee. That's what I need. I need like throat hairs, just on the outside of my throat, like a raven. You know, it's kind of the style for men to wear goatees and beards right now. What about the throat? I guess they have like throat beards. I can't hardly stand really to let the beard grow on my neck, around my throat, because it itches. I lay down and my neck is, or my head's on the pillow, so my neck is kind of. Does anybody else have that problem? Have neck fur, the neck beard. I have to shave off the beard around my neck. Can't have that. Um. Anyway, well, hey, look, don't forget to, if you watch this video later on, and I'm recording this live right now, but if you come back and you watch it, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe. I don't do a lot of live videos. I'm just kind of messing around today. Just messing around. Just boot goofing. Just new boot goofing. Messing around with this camera is what I'm doing. Actually, I'm not even messing with the camera anymore. I think I got it where I want it, but it was a camera test and artwork at the same time. Related to crows, here's a song that you should hear. I'm not going to sing it. I can't sing. But look this up. It's a song by a band called Me Without You. It's all one word. MEWITHYOU, but all one word. And the name of the song is The Crow and the Cookie. Or The Fox, the Crow and the Cookie. If you look up Me Without You and Crow, you'll probably find the song. But cool song, kind of an unheard of band. They're pretty popular in their circle and all. Sell lots of albums, but they're by no means like huge chart toppers or anything. So I went to one of their concerts one time. It was sold out, but there was a big crowd. Me Without You. I'll try and leave a link in the description of this video so you can go check them out. Me Without You, The Crow and the Cookie. Alright, so there he is. I think this should be my next tattoo. The crow tattoo. Okay, now hold on. I'm not done yet. Don't touch that dial, because we got to glue it in. And I have some Blick Essential Glue Stick Purple. It dries clear, but it's good for gluing stuff down. And I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper. Just so happens I poured water all over this one at the beginning of the video. So rather than it going to total waste, I'm going to use it as scrap. I'm going to turn my crow over. I'm going to make sure that purple glue gets all over the edges. I want it to become one. I want it to become permanent with my sketchbook when I glue it in. So I want to make sure that all the edges have glue on them really, really good. Don't be afraid to get your fingers in the glue. Just be careful when you pick it up not to get glue on the front. Not the end of the world if you do. And just keep applying that glue. As it dries, it turns clear, and so you can kind of see how it's dried out over here on the beak, and I want to make sure that that stays down when I glue it in. So I'm going to go back over it again, here and there, then pick it up, move this out of the way because I don't want to get it on my book, bring my book over, lay it down, and then very carefully, starting in this corner over here, all right, put it right there, lay it down, smear it in. Now I'm going to get a paper towel, clean paper towel, and I'm going to put it down, and I can use this to like push down on it without smearing any of the ink or get my fingers, the dirt from my fingers or oils from my fingers on it. You can use a piece of copy paper for this. And I just want to make sure it's in that crease as well, so that when I close the book, it folds right. And there you go. This is my third crow, or third corvidae in the book. All right. So I'm not sure that I'm done with this. I may do a little color in the eye. I may do some stuff in the background to just kind of tone it down a little bit. But this is all I'm going to do in this video for right now. I'm going to let this dry real good, and then I will come back and do some more in it later. Be sure and put the lid back on your stick glue. Put it away. All right, there we go. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for watching this video. Let me zoom in here a little bit and get you some real, real close up. Yep, there we go. Looks like he's got kind of a knot on his head. I may have to come back in and fix that. Let's see if we can tone that down just a little bit before I hang up this video. Get my brush. Put that in this one. All right. And oh, look at there. I should have cut that off right there. I didn't cut that off. Chewy. Excuse me. Whew. All right. There's a little dry brushing right here. It's not very dry because it's been in the water, but it's dirty. Kind of blend this into it a little bit better. I think will help. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of ink on it, and then I'm going to take the ink and I'm going to get a lot of it out of my brush on this paper towel, and then I think I can dry brush it better and tone it down. A little bit. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching. Be sure and give me a thumbs up. Come back and check it out for more. Subscribe, tap that little bell. I don't do a lot of live videos, but I might get into it a little bit more later on. It's been fun. Thank you very much. Okie dokie. Bye-bye.